Alright, now into the stuff people are going to argue about. Oh, let's do Vancouver, shall we? Because people like to argue with me about Vancouver. Remember, this is the opening night roster. This is not necessarily where I see the roster in December. This isn't necessarily where I see the roster in November, even. But on opening night, when the Canucks are trying to put on a brave face and say, oh, we're retooling, not rebuilding, and we're going to be fantastic, and this is the start of something wonderful, Henrik Sedin and Daniel Sedin will be playing with Louis Eriksson. I would not be surprised to see Louis Eriksson not play the whole season with the Sedins. They had incredible chemistry with Jannik Hansen last year. Jannik Hansen scored over 20 goals because A, he got his game together, and B, he played with the Sedins. I could see Eriksson having fantastic chemistry with Horvat. They're both hard workers, and they. I think Eriksson could teach Horvat a lot about the offensive side of the game, and hopefully somebody can teach Horvat about getting his plus minus out of the abyss. So that would be nice. But for opening night, it's Sedin, Eriksson. And then the second line is Berchi, Sutter, and Hansen. And honestly, if the Sedins and Eriksson are a good first line, and 5 years ago they are, Berchi, Sutter, and Hansen should scare the hell out of you as a Canucks fan. Look, I get it. People like Berchi. I'm not sold on Berchi as a top six forward. I honestly think that there's a lot of people expecting 25 goals. I can't see him getting it. 50 points. Can't see him getting that either. I see a third line forward, but I don't see a guy who you should rely on to be in your top six, because if I had to guess now, I'd say Daniel Sedin scores 25. Henrik Sedin doesn't score goals. He scores maybe 12. Louis Eriksson is not going to score 30. He might score 25. And then projecting anybody else to score 20. Well, if Hansen's not with the Sedins, he doesn't score 20. Sutter, is he healthy? Can he stay healthy? Berchi, he had 15 last year. He might hit 20, but I doubt it. Edom, no. Virtanen, maybe. Because I got Edom, Horvat, and Virtanen as the third line. The way I see it is the Canucks, instead of having a true third line, they have two second lines. And I would think that Edom, Horvat, and Virtanen, especially on opening night, play just as much as Berchi, Sutter, and Hansen, because Edom, Horvat, and Virtanen, that's a fast line. And if Edom ever gets the hands in the NHL to match the speed, that's a steal of a deal from the Rangers. This is why in the article it says, Canucks lose every trade. Really? They gave up Nicholas Jensen for Emerson Edom. How did they lose that trade? I don't see it. Fourth line, I have Alex Burrows, Marcus Granlund, and Anton Rodin. People have been asking me about Rodin, and I'm like, you know what? Opening night, he is in the lineup. The extra guys are Derek Dorsett and Brendan Gaunce. I love Gaunce. And I know he had 1 point in 20 games last year, and he didn't look great, but I like Brendan Gaunce. And I like his upside as a glue guy, as a character guy, as a very malleable player that you can put in your lineup in various spots. He's probably not going to be a top six guy at any point, but I think you can plug him in any bottom six spot and he'll perform well for you. I think he's got a lot of heart, and I really like Brendan Gaunce. But opening night, he's an extra. The blue line, and this is where it gets tricky. You have Edler and Tanev are your top two. Hutton and Goodbranson are your top four. And then I have Ulevy and Triamkin as 5 and 6. Why? Again, this is about creating excitement. Look, fans, we're a new team. This isn't the roster they're going to have in December. Ulevy gets his 9 games. I predict that even if he has a mediocre camp and doesn't look great in the preseason, he still gets his 9 games. And they put him with Triamkin because think about it. These are both Benning draft picks, and they should complement each other really well. You have the big, massive, physical, defensive blue liner and the decently sized offensive guy who's supposed to run the power play. Usually you put those two together, you have a winning combination. So potentially you have a 5-6 here that I like more than the 3-4, and I like Hutton. I'm not saying a word about Goodbranson. It's not happening. And then the extras, I have Larson and Zaviza. Larson goes in if Ulevy falters or Triamkin falters. If anybody gets hurt, Larson's the first one to go in. Philip Larson didn't sign the $1 million contract to play in the American Hockey League. It's not going to happen. And then in net, I have Markstrom as the starter and Miller as the backup. And I predict Miller could be gone by Christmas. Miller still thinks he has a lot to offer. And Miller still views himself, at the very least, as a 1B goaltender. And if Markstrom starts playing 6 or 7 games in a row and Miller's only playing spot duty, he won't demand a trade, but I could see him going to Benning and saying, I want to play, and Benning accommodating him by trading him. I don't see that the Canucks get ripped off in every trade. That's, that statement in the Hockey News article I found today is ridiculous. Granlund for Shinkarik is a head scratcher, but I don't think Shinkarik's going to be a 30-goal scorer, so I think we're okay. The Sutter trade is a head scratcher. The Baertschi deal, was it a ripoff? It's a second-round draft pick that might not make the NHL. Eriksson was a free pickup. Dorsett was pretty much a free pickup. Hutton was a fantastic free agent, or signing out of college. And I just don't see a team here, and it's the second line that bothers me. Honestly, it's Baertschi, Sutter, Hansen. That left side of Daniel Sedin, Baertschi, Edom, and Burrows, that's not a playoff team. It's not. Down the middle, Henrik Sedin, Sutter, Horvat, Granlund. You could argue that has the potential. The right side, you have Eriksson, Hansen, Virtanen, and Rodin. Maybe if you put Dorsett in there for Rodin, you got a potential playoff, but it's that left side. And it's weird because the right side used to be the number one weakness for Vancouver. Now it's the left side. And Burrows, I have written as a left winger, even though naturally he's a right winger. He played right wing for the Sedins, but he scored more goals on the right side. And he's gone back to the left after leaving the Sedins. Their blue line is just it's average. Like Edler has been good, not great. And I don't view him as a number one defenseman in the NHL. And I don't view Tanev as a number 2 right now either. They're a solid 3-4. Hutton and Goodbranson are a solid 3-4. Ulevy and Triamkin, that could be the key. That could honestly be the key. I'm definitely watching that team opening night. I want to admit something here while I'm talking about the Canucks. I saw one Canucks game live, ever. I'll put it this way. It was against Montreal. It was with my father. And Guy Lafleur was injured, so he didn't play that game. Vancouver lost. I think the final score was 4-1. There was a woman 2 rows in front of me, to my left, who had a cowbell. And every time Stan Smeel touched the puck, she rang the damn cowbell and yelled, "Go, Steamer, go." By the end of the game, I, as an 8-year-old child, wanted to take that cowbell and insert it into painful areas to make it stop. Not mine either. Hers. I was 8, so it probably would have been her ears that I stuck it in. But, yeah, that's the only time I've ever been to a Vancouver Canucks game. Ever. There was one time that my dad came home with tickets to, it was a private box game, and it was against the Jets, and it was about 88 or 89. And he wanted to take my mother. When my mother said no, he gave the tickets away. And I was like, "Well, Dad, you could take me." And he's like, "Oh, you wouldn't enjoy it, and it's just, there's alcohol, and you wouldn't enjoy it, and it's this press box, private box thing. You wouldn't enjoy it." And I just wanted to strangle him. It was like, I wanted to say, "Dad, it's been 8 years since we went to see a Canucks game. I wouldn't mind going and watching it in a private box. That'd be pretty cool." I mean, Pacific Coliseum, but still. So, yeah. That's how long it's been since I went to a Canucks game. The tickets are just too high. And then there's the fact that, for me at this point, I work early in the morning. Vancouver's an hour and a half drive from here, and the games don't end till 10:30 at night. a lot of the time, and if they go to overtime and a shootout, it could be closer to 11, and then you can't get out of the building because there's thousands of people. It's just, so I haven't been, and it sucks. It does. I'll be honest, it sucks. There are certain games I've watched on TV, and I thought, man, if I was there, I'd be just bouncing off the walls. So, due in part to this channel and its growing viewership, I am looking at fixing that. My friend Kimber and I were in touch via email a week ago. He wants to go to the Young Stars tournament in Vancouver. Because my days off for Friday and Saturday, and those are days he can go as well, that would mean going to 3 Young Stars NHL games, and I would see all of the teams. So that means only one game features Vancouver Canucks rookies, and the other 2 don't. I am a true hockey fan. I don't care if it's Calgary and Winnipeg. I want to watch rookies play. And then I can come home and I will take notes. I've taken notes when I go to Chilliwack Bruins games back in the day and Chilliwack Chiefs games, where I will pick out a player and watch him. And then I'll pick out another player and just watch him. And, I watch the puck and I watch the play and I watch the fights, but I watch certain guys. And when I went to a Bruins game, they got shut out 4-0. And it was a crap game. They were an expansion team. And I said that Oscar Moeller kid's going to play in the NHL. And that Mark Santorelli kid should play too. Mark Santorelli got drafted by the Nashville Predators. He's the brother of Mike Santorelli. And Oscar Moeller did play. He only played 87 games, but he did play for the Kings. And, I'm not saying that to be, oh, look at me, I could be a scout. There was just certain things I picked out in their games that I thought they are above their teammates. And even though the Bruins got shut out that night, I was very impressed with their games. So I will make mental notes. I'll probably make notes as well on all 6. I don't think it's 6 teams, but it's Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, I guess. 4 of them, and I will make notes on rookies, on what I see and what I like and what I don't like, because those games aren't usually widely watched, except by voracious hockey fans like myself and the people who subscribe to my channel. So I will let you guys know what the status is, as far as I can tell, on the rookies. So I will watch very closely guys like Matt Tkachuk, and Puljujarvi definitely, and Ulevy. If Ulevy is ready, I will admit it. If that kid looks fantastic, I will come right out and I will say that kid's fantastic. He's a keeper, and I wouldn't take Tkachuk over him. I will admit it. But watching 3 games would be amazing. My friend's supposed to get back to me on the ticket prices and the details, and I will definitely pay my way, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I've even considered taking Mr. Laptop with this thing and figuring out a way to do some kind of a video on the way there or on the way back, or while I'm there. I don't think I'm allowed, though. I think that would be considered broadcasting of the game. That'd be kind of illegal. It'd be kind of cool, though, wouldn't it? Just take this webcam, turn it around, and then I can announce the game. That'd be awesome. Triampkin to Ulevy passes in front of the net. He scores. Vancouver's up 1. It would be awesome. Be living a dream, but it's a dream for a reason. It's not going to happen. I used to go to, when I was a teenager, I would get bored sometimes during Chilliwack Chiefs games because, it's BCHL hockey and not every game is a fantastic one. So if I got bored, I would pretend it was the Canucks and the Flames. And I would give Canucks names to everybody who touched the puck. And I would be consistent, and I would give Flames names to the other team. And then in between periods, the Flames would change to the Oilers. And then in between periods, the Oilers would become the Kings. It was always the Canucks, though. And it entertained the fans around me. I wasn't obnoxious. I wasn't loud. It would just be Lume behind the net. Lume looks up the middle. Lume passes it to Ronning. Ronning in over the blue line. Ronning looks to Sandlak. Looks to the net. Pass. Save made by Mike Vernon. Vernon passes to McInnes. I would just, the whole game. I loved doing that. There was even one time I went to a Chiefs game, and there was a blind guy there. And his friend next to him is describing the game to him and who has it. And I was like, man, I need a blind friend so I have an excuse to do it. That would be great. That would be awesome. I would love that. So, and then later on, I became a camp counselor, and I actually did have blind campers, and actually, I really enjoyed working with the blind quite a bit. So I was right. I didn't take him to a hockey game, but it was great working with the blind. It really was tremendous fun. Anyways, that concludes my Vancouver video. A little bit of bonus on top of just looking at the opening night roster. And for you guys who've been thumbing me down because I don't have Virtanen in the lineup, Virtanen's in the opening night lineup. If he doesn't play well, if he shows signs that his talent is diminishing because he's in a bottom six role, I fully expect him in the American Hockey League this year. You have to look at the long-term picture. And if Virtanen plays well, honestly, it's tempting to switch him to the left side. Because they got Baser coming up too, and Baser's a right winger. All these right wingers coming up to the team. So, yeah. Anyways, all these little bonus tidbits and all that, because we're talking about Vancouver. These things happen. It's sort of like my Toronto video got a little bit longer too. So, yeah, thanks for watching.